Diplomatic relations between the Barack Obama administration and the Cuban government continues to improve. On Friday, officials from both countries met in Washington, D.C. for the second round of talks aimed at normalizing ties. The Cuban delegation says it's pleased with the latest round of dialogue and progress was made. However, Cuban officials say no date was presented for the renewal of diplomatic ties which Washington severed over 5 decades ago. The Cuban delegation was headed by Josefina Vidal, chief of the Cuban Foreign Ministry U.S. Division. Going into the meeting, the communist country pushed to be removed from the U.S. list of state sponsors of terrorism. However, Washington argues that the designation shouldn't be linked to the negotiations on renewing relations and opening embassies. Speaking to the press after the talks, Ms. Vidal explained that removing Cuba from the U.S. terrorism list wasn't a precondition for the renewal of diplomatic ties. However, it's a priority for Cuba. The Cuban diplomat also reinforced that both sides agreed to maintain contact. She's also optimistic that the U.S. government could have a chance of change of heart as it relates to removing Cuba from its terrorist list. Havana contends that U.S. sanctions have grave consequences for banks that do business with designated countries on the list. The U.S. delegation at the meeting was led by U.S. Assistant Secretary of State Roberta Jacobson. Meanwhile, a senior State Department official has indicated that the Obama administration is finalizing a review of Cuba's position on the terrorism list. However, it must be submitted to Congress before Cuba can be removed. U.S. President Barack Obama has been credited for taking bold steps to reignite diplomatic talks with Cuban President Raul Castro. On December 17 last year, President Obama signaled that measures are being implemented to solidify a new direction in U.S.-Cuba relations.